Hello, I'm Brandon Stevens, the EPICS Lab Manager, and today I'm going to cover the EPICS Lab Introduction, which will cover the expectations and agreements when using our EPICS classrooms, laboratories, and makerspace. I'll share a quote with you here from Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it's done. That's a motto of our EPICS projects. We want you to work very hard and to do lots of great things for our project partners as you're working with the projects here in the EPICS makerspace and the laboratories and the classrooms here at Purdue. My office is ARMS 1210. I'm just inside the EPICS suite of offices, so if you need assistance, you can find me there. Or if you want to send me a message on Teams, sometimes I'm not in the office, but you can reach me on Teams, and that is BR Steven is my handle at EPICS with the team and also with my email here at Purdue. The EPICS classroom and lab safety, this awareness training is required by the university and it's mandatory for all students in the EPICS program. We are going to cover the safety, and safety is our driving force of everything that we do in the classroom and in the laboratory. We also want to introduce to you the proper use and respect of our facilities and resources. These resources and facilities, the tools that we have, are very expensive, and we want to be able to have them available for all of our students within the EPICS program. So we would like to have you respect those also for the other students along with yourself to keep yourself safe. I am also going to cover the hazard awareness of our program and show you and talk to you about some of the safety features and some of the safety equipment that is available in our laboratory. The classroom and lab space is shared by over 800 students each semester, and EPICS has over 40 teams with more than 100 projects being worked on every semester. That is a lot of work being done in our small space, and it's very impressive. We want this space to be a collaborative and creative environment for all of our Boilermakers. We also want to make sure this shared space is available for all teams and disciplines that are working in our lab. And ultimately, safety is our #1 priority. Again, safety is a community responsibility, and your responsibility starts now. Every student plays a role in maintaining a clean, organized, and safe lab. Safety isn't optional, it's essential. Shared spaces require shared respect, and we're leaving that responsibility up to every student that participates in the EPICS program and works in the EPICS lab spaces and classrooms. Organization equals safety. We want to make sure that our housekeeping is kept in order, and the housekeeping is going to help prevent hazards. We want our students to put tools and supplies in the correct location. Don't just take your tools and your supplies and stuff them somewhere randomly in the lab, or leave them laying out on the countertops, on the workbenches, and on spaces around in the public area of the lab. Each team has a locker to store your location of your items within that locker, and we want you to do that and organize those neatly so that your supplies and your project are kept safe, and then also leaving the rest of the lab available for other students to work within the lab that are coming in. Remember, we have 800 students that are accessing our space every week, and they are working on their projects just the same as your team is. So your project does not have priority over any of the other student projects that are in the lab. Now, some of our projects will be much larger than what will fit in a team locker. If this is the case, your team will make agreements with the lab manager, myself, or your advisor in order to store that in the general common area of the lab. but it does need to be contained and put away neatly, not just laying everywhere on our workspaces and our bench tops that would prevent others from using that space. We also have a lot of equipment that has cords and cables, and we want you to be responsible about this. We want you to coil the cords, cables, and wires neatly and use Velcro banding or straps or rubber bands to keep them out of the way and free from hazards. When extension cords or cords of the appliance, whatever you're using has a cord, is dangling or hanging out of a locker or out of a storage bin, we have a safety concern there from someone tripping on the wires, someone damaging the wires from not having them put away correctly, and this is a problem. So we want to make sure that the cords are coiled up neatly, banded using the Velcro straps or rubber bands to keep them neatly tucked away with the tool and out of harm's way. We also, again, need to keep the workspaces clean and accessible for everyone. So if you're working on a project and it does need to stay out to dry the glue that you're putting on it or some kind of paint that is on the project, we need to have you put that away within a couple hours of the work. It can't lay out in our space for weeks or for days even within our lab space. Again, our students of all the other teams need access to that space also. This is a list of what not to do. And again, this is not comprehensive, but some of the common things that we see. Do not leave the tools in random drawers or boxes. This is very difficult. We spend a lot of time searching for tools that are in the lab for everyone to use. And when you put them away in random places and don't respect the rule of putting it away in the proper space for the tool, that makes it very difficult for the others to use their time wisely and effectively within the lab during their allotted time to work on the project. All tools and supplies must be returned to their storage location so that every student has access to these items. That is imperative so that our students are able to work effectively and efficiently within the laboratory. Do not leave a mess behind for someone else to clean up. We do not have a janitorial service or a group of people that goes around to find your mess, your supplies, your tools, and items left behind by you and taking care of them and putting them away for you. So do not leave a mess behind. When you're done working in your area with a project or done with a team meeting, I need you just to stand up for a minute, observe the space, leave the space better than what you found it. Make sure it's clean, trash is put away in the trash receptacles, recycling is put in the proper recycling receptacles in the laboratory, and then putting away all the items there. There should not be items left behind. This is also important for us to be stewards of the equipment and the supplies that your team is using for your project. We have so many supplies in the past that have been ordered by a team and then discarded in general areas around the lab, and other teams do not know what this is. A lot of it ends up in the trash, and we want to be responsible stewards of the supplies and the different tools that we have within our lab that our students are using. So do not leave a mess behind for someone to clean up. Also, make sure to put your chair down and push it underneath the table or underneath the lab bench that you're working at. We don't need lab benches or the stools around those areas to be messy and disorganized, and stools and chairs all over the classroom, creating clutter and a hazard for people trying to navigate and access the area. So please put your chair down, the arms down, and push your chair underneath the table or the lab bench. And please never hide or put damaged equipment away. If you would like to bring it to me, the lab manager, or your graduate TA, or your advisor for the team, please do that. If no one's available, send a picture and a message to me, the lab manager. And again, my team's address is BR Steven, and notify us immediately of that so that we can get that repaired. It's never a good feeling to walk in and find damaged or broken equipment when you're ready to use a piece of equipment for your project, and it takes us quite a while to replace or repair and get the equipment back into service. So we need all the time that we can get in order to make that happen. It's not something that happens quickly, and no one's going to be in trouble for damaging the equipment. If you're using it properly, accidents happen and things get broken, but we want to be aware of this so that we can address that and get that taken care of. So it's best to address that right away with me and sending a picture and a message, or bringing it to me directly. There are lots of special materials and also special rules. We have a couple different areas within our lab that is available for our dirty work, such as spray painting, staining, and using chemicals within the laboratory. Before any chemical can be used in the EPICS space, you must submit a copy of the manufacturer's SDS, which is the safety data sheet, to me, either by email or Teams. And these SDS sheets are filed in Teams under the All EPICS General Communication, and there is a channel there with a Lab Health and Safety section, and then under that you will see a folder called SDS. This is where our safety data sheets are contained for all of the chemicals and all of the stains and paints that are within the laboratory space. As a commercial facility and an educational space, OSHA requires us to keep SDS sheets on file and accessible to all of our participants and users of the space. These SDS sheets are important for our emergency personnel to have access to if there's some kind of spill or some kind of problem that they need to access to see what the chemical is, how to handle it, how to clean it up, how to work with chemically safely. That is where this information is contained. And the manufacturer produces an SDS sheet for every chemical that they produce so that we have that information. And it's important for our students to look through and review that sheet before working with the chemicals to know what kind of personal protective equipment that you might need to use while working with the chemical that you're using on your project. We also have a spray booth, paint booth that is in Arms B97, which is downstairs next to our wood shop. All the painting and any kind of work that is done with stains, paints that create fumes or smells, we're going to ask you to use that space down there to work on your project. This again is something for short term to be able to work and paint for the time duration of your class. And then your project will need to be moved to a drying rack within the room there. There's a black metal shelving unit to put your item on there to let it dry and to let it cure. Never leave items in the paint booth overnight for, a half of a day. That is, again, blocking the access to other teams. So when you work on a project that has wet paint or stains, make sure that you appropriately time your work so that you can be there within the next hour or two to be able to pick it up and move it so that you can have it dry and cure. And if you need to do it in multiple steps to be able to come back in another day and continue the work, that would be best so that you can safely and move it without having fingerprints in the paint or having problems with that. Again, we can't leave the products within the paint booth for days at a time, as we would be blocking access to others using that same space for their project. This is very important, especially towards the end of the semester when students are trying to finish up their work and make a delivery to their project partner. But again, we need that space in the paint booth for all of our teams to have access equally throughout the semester, and especially at the end of the semester. Any chemical work that you're going to do, we want you to perform this work in the Arms 1098 fume hood. This would be anything for chemistry to mixing chemicals, but it is not intended for any kind of painting. All the painting will be done in B97, and all the chemical work, such as chemistry type of chemical work, will be done in the ARMS 1098 fume hood that is in our laboratory on the main floor. We also need you to label your work and also to dispose of the hazardous waste properly. If you have questions about how to dispose of this properly, please reach out to the lab manager. We cannot have you just throwing the empty paint cans and any chemicals into the trash in our building. We want to be respectful of our janitorial services that empties out the trash, and we can't have chemicals spilling unknown chemicals within the trash or harming any of the people within the waste management process here at the university. We have a very specialized process of labeling and having our hazardous chemicals removed from our building, and we need you to follow those rules and help us with the safe removal of this hazardous waste. Ask before you act. So if in doubt, ask. Don't guess how a tool works. We don't want you to get injured. If you've had some training before but not really confident on how to do something, please ask. I know that all of our students are in a rush to get the work done and they don't want to delay the work, but we don't want tools damaged, we don't want you injured, and we don't want accidents happening because you're in a rush and trying to do something without the proper training or knowledge. You can also ask a TA or an EPICS faculty member for help, or find a reliable and reputable source to train yourself on how to use the tool properly. YouTube may be a good source of information, but be aware there is some inaccurate information from people that are not trained with using the equipment that may give you improper information about how to do something or a procedure. So we want you to find that reliable or reputable source in order to find good, reliable, and accurate training for that tool or procedure that you're trying to do. And again, this goes back to safety. Safety comes before speed or needing to meet a deadline. And this always happens at the very end of the semester when someone's trying to rush to get for a delivery at the end of the semester or a midterm delivery with the project partner coming to visit, and we get in a rush to try to push things through and get them finished before that deadline is there. But again, safety becomes the most important part, and safety is the most important part before the speed of getting it done by the deadline. Report problems immediately. If it's broken, speak up. Again, no student's going to be in trouble because we've got something that's broken. And if you're using something and something breaks, we need to find out what happened and get the tool or the item replaced. So report the damage or malfunctioning equipment right away. Again, we don't want others to find the broken equipment and this be a surprise. Finding broken equipment by surprises is never pleasant, and it just delays the process of getting things ready for the next team to be able to use it. And again, never return broken tools to storage. Other people may not realize that things are broken or may not have the knowledge that there's a problem with it. And so if there's something that is broken, never return that broken tool to storage. Also, that broken tool being returned to us helps prevent injury to others by doing your part of getting that part back to us so that we can get that properly replaced or repaired and back into service. There are several emergency protocols. So what do you do in an emergency? Number one, if there's an emergency, dial 911. We have lab phones within our classrooms and within our laboratory space. As you enter our laboratory space and classrooms, make yourself aware of where the phones are located at. You can dial 911 from any phone on campus and you will get the 911 operator to help you. You can also call on your cell phone. There is also 911 texting service here in this area, so you can text, but it is a lot quicker to call, and especially very quick to call from the landline within our building and getting access to the 911 operator quickly. The other thing when you remember to call 911 is to stay calm, tell your problem and your location. They will ask you this information, but remember to stay calm and tell the operator what your problem is and the location that you're at. All of our laboratories are in the Armstrong building. So if you will tell them that you're in the Armstrong, and if you can remember what room that you are in, we've got 1098, which is our main classroom in the upstairs space. We also have classroom space in 1101 and 1095. And then we have laboratory space in the basement in B103 and a connecting room of B97. And then a space across the hallway from the woodworking shop, which is where our 3D printers are, and that is Armstrong B96. So we have all these different spaces, and keeping your awareness up with where you're at in the building is always great in case there is an emergency and you need to summon someone to come and help. Always observe your surroundings and have a plan. That's most critical to be able to be prepared. There's also a website at Purdue, and you can visit this Purdue's Emergency Preparedness and Planning website. And here is a QR code that you can scan to access that. I've also provided the web address here so that you can access that web address and look at the different emergency preparedness plans and getting you aware of your surroundings and what might be necessary to be prepared in case of an emergency. There are lots of different types of emergencies that are out there. So we've got weather emergencies, we've got building emergencies, fire, medical. There may be some kind of active threat on campus. And so we want you to be prepared the best you can be for any of these emergencies that may be present at any time. Here's a couple final reminders for you. Before you leave the classroom or the lab, again, clean and organize your workspace. Clean up after yourself and don't leave your trash behind. Again, we want you to leave the space in a better condition than you found it. We've got lots of things around the lab, and as your team works on things, if you leave it out, we've got so many different projects and so many different things. It just kind of creates a lot of clutter and a lot of chaos and a lot of safety hazards within our space. So clean and organize your workspace before you leave. Put your chair down and push it in under the table. This may also require you to lower the arms of the chair and put it under the table neatly so that everything is organized and prepared for the next group of students or next reviewers to come into the classroom. Whatever we're doing with our spaces there, we want everything to be put in neatly under the tables and organized and all the clutter removed. If you use the whiteboards in the classrooms, we ask you to also clean and wash the whiteboards so that everyone can use the whiteboard and have a clean slate to work with. So once you're done, if you need to take pictures of your work to put in your team notebooks to save notes, utilize your technology devices, your phones, your tablets, however you'd like to capture that information, and then wipe off the whiteboards. We have different rags within the rooms and then also whiteboard cleaner within the rooms so that you can wipe down and clean off the whiteboards. And put away any tools or supplies correctly. Again, we want those tools put away in the correct location so that everyone has access to them. They're easy to find for the next group or the next person or the next advisor that's working with the team to help them with the tools that they are searching for to be able to make a project. And then the very last thing is leave the space ready for the next person or group. That's the most important. We want the space to be neat, organized, and clean, and safe for the next group to be able to access. Again, we have a shared space, and this is a shared responsibility. Protect the EPICS makerspace. We all share this classroom and lab space. Unsafe practices could risk our access to these spaces in the future. Your actions do matter, and leave the space ready for the next person or group. Thank you again, and we want you to build better and safer for our projects that we're doing here in EPICS. Thank you for making safety a part of every EPICS project. And if you have any questions, make sure to reach out to me, Brandon Stevens. And again, my email is brsteven@purdue.edu. And also my Microsoft Teams handle is brsteven.